I'm sure that many of you have heard that there are currently two significant wildfires not far from Rocky Mountain National Park. One of them is along Highway 34 near Loveland, Colorado, and the other is along Highway 36 near the town of Lyons. In fact, the other night, when I returned home from a family reunion, most of the roads up to Estes Park from the east were closed due to wildfire activity. We had to return via some circuitous back roads. Now, as all of you are probably aware, wildfires are a very common occurrence in the western United States, especially in late summer and in the autumn. I'm sure many of you remember back in 2020, we had the largest wildfire in Colorado history just to the north of the park. It actually entered Rocky Mountain National Park and burned through several of my very favorite valleys, consuming the forest, leaving only blackness behind. Then we had another massive wildfire that same year that burned large areas of the park, traveling nearly 40 miles in a single day. It raced across the middle of the park, heading right towards Estes Park. Fire officials were concerned that it might burn right through town, taking out my home and that of so many others. Fortunately, a surprise change in the weather stopped it at the very last moment. Those fires left all of us up here quite shaken. Now, wildfires are something that we learn to live with up here, but they are not something that we take lightly. They're so easy to start, difficult to predict, and even harder to stop. They travel at the bidding of the wind, weather, and terrain, destroying forest, home, and life at incredible speeds. So you may be wondering, is it safe to visit Rocky Mountain National Park during the wildfire season? Well, there is no one who can know exactly when or where a fire will start, or precisely how it will spread, but there are a couple of simple tools and tips that will help you to stay as safe as possible. Now, the first tool that I'd recommend you get to know is the current fire danger level. Now, this report is based on how dry the forest is, the humidity, the expected temperature, as well as the wind strength and direction. This report will give you a good sense of how likely a fire is to start and how difficult it might be to contain. It has 5 levels, starting at low and going all the way up to extreme. Now, this report is updated daily and well worth keeping an eye on before and during your visit. You can find this report on my RockyMountainNationalPark.com website in the current conditions section. I've added a link to it in the show notes below. And I really recommend that you bookmark this page and check it regularly. Now, personally, I monitor this daily during the summer and during the autumn. And when the rating creeps up, then my family and I begin preparing our evacuation bags and taking other steps so that if a fire does develop nearby, that we're ready to act. Now, you'll also want to stay up to date on what is happening with any wildfires that are in the area, as they can cause road or trail closures. Now, it's also helpful to know whether those fires are spreading in a certain direction and what the officials are saying about them. When there is a fire in or around Rocky Mountain National Park, my team and I do our best to provide all the information we can about these fires, as well as links to where you can find additional information. Now, we put all of this information on that same fire danger page that I mentioned earlier on my RockyMountainNationalPark.com website. Again, you'll find that link in the show notes below. So watch that page for any updates on current fires. The third thing I would encourage you to do is to sign up for the emergency alert system that we have up here in Estes Park. Simply send a text with the words EPAlert to 888-777, and then you'll receive emergency alerts for the next 3 weeks so that you're fully notified if anything should happen. Now, if you're here for longer than 3 weeks, then sign up for the Northern Colorado Alerts at nocoalert.org. Now, both of these services send out the same alerts and provide you with any essential information that you might need to make an informed decision. Now, on occasion, we get visitors in my neighborhood who start a campfire outside the cabin that they're staying at. When that happens, everyone in my neighborhood goes on high alert, aware that all it takes is a tiny spark from a campfire, a cigarette, or a firework to destroy hundreds of thousands of acres. Now, even though we all enjoy a campfire and roasting marshmallows, when the fire danger is high, it is simply not worth the risk. Over the last couple of decades, it has become so hot and dry that the risk has become too great. So Please do your part and help us avoid another massive wildfire here. It's serious business. Now, I've lived here for 20 years, and only once during these years have I seen an evacuation order issued for the town of Estes Park, though I have seen it for outlying areas quite a few times. Yet as the world becomes hotter and drier with more intense fires, evacuations may become more common. Now, during the last evacuation, I learned a few things. Firstly, when conditions become critical, the fire management usually issues a voluntary evacuation first. Now, if conditions continue to deteriorate, they will then upgrade that to a mandatory evacuation. When the mandatory evacuation order was given for Estes Park in October of 2020, clouds of burning ash filled the sky as the fire raced towards the town. It actually looked like a scene from a movie about the end of the world. Yet despite the very visible danger and all the traffic heading out of town, there were still crowds of people filling the streets downtown trying to find ice cream and buy t-shirts, seemingly oblivious to what was happening around them. They didn't want to lose a moment of their vacation, even if they were in potential danger. Then, as I and most of the rest of the population left with the belongings we could carry in our cars, we found ourselves stuck in long lines of traffic, not only due to the large number of people leaving, all trying to get out at once, but also because some visitors had stopped in the road to watch elk grazing on a nearby hill. These people also seemed oblivious to what was going on, to the hundreds of vehicles behind them, all trying to get out of town as the fire raced towards us. It was crazy. I could barely believe what I was seeing. So if you are ever visiting when a voluntary evacuation order is issued, then that is your cue to pack up and continue your vacation elsewhere. At this point, when it's only voluntary, the roads will not be filled with traffic trying to escape. You can drive out peacefully without the concern that the fire is right behind you, and you're much more likely to find alternative accommodation. When a mandatory evacuation order is issued, tourists and residents alike will book up hotels all along Colorado's Front Range. So go when it's voluntary. As I mentioned at the beginning of this video, right now we have 2 wildfires burning just east of Estes Park. One is near the town of Lyons, and the other started near the dam store on Highway 34 and is quickly expanding. Evacuation orders have been issued all the way up to the little town of Glen Haven, just a few miles east of Estes Park. Now, it is certainly concerning, and we are all keeping a close eye on these fires. The rest of this week looks very dry, and fire resources are limited, since most wildland firefighters are currently committed to fires in California. So we are concerned, but we're hoping that next week the weather will change and give firefighters a better chance at getting this under control. Now, currently, we do not expect it to spread all the way up to Rocky Mountain National Park, but we are staying vigilant. You can monitor the progress of these fires on our fire danger page. Now, most likely you will never experience an evacuation or find yourself in danger of wildfires while visiting our beautiful Rocky Mountain National Park. But by simply staying aware of the current fire danger, listening to the alerts that are given, and following the developments of any current fires, you will be able to stay safe and have a great vacation. Well, thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you learned a little something. If you like this, give it a thumbs up. And if you want to see more, please subscribe. Thanks, everyone. To help you prepare for your visit to Rocky Mountain National Park, visit my website, rockymountainnationalpark.com. For hiking guides, calendars, coffee table books, and more, visit rockytrailpress.com. And when you arrive, be sure and stop by my gallery in downtown Estes Park. It's called Images of RMNP.